tier and the top tier, which is quite a sight actually. And the teams are ready. There's the whistle from Jared Gillett, the referee, and it's Newcastle who get us underway. Navy blue shirts with the gold trim, gold shorts and blue socks against Tottenham here in their home stadium in the lily white shirts, the famous lily white, with blue shorts and white socks. Welcome to everyone around the world as well who joins us here in North London on the World Service as Tottenham have to defend now. And Bruno Guimaraes, real star for this Newcastle team, a real favourite, the Brazilian, plays the ball to the right-hand side. In this first half, Tottenham are playing from right to left, and Son has got the ball back, and he's got his head down. And Son now is halfway inside Newcastle territory. Defenders backing off, so he shoots, and it's patted down by Nick Pope. It was straight at him, really, in front of his face. Got a good sight on it. But great early intent from Son. Yeah,
a good play from Son. Trippier gives the ball away and he breaks, and I think he wants to pass it to Harry Kane. Bentancur was on his outside. And the shot, you're right, John, it was a tame shot. There's got to be something better to beat Nick Pope from that distance.
Son, whose 3 goals in the Premier League this season were all scored in the same match, the hat-trick against Leicester. So you'll gather from that he's actually still not scored in the Premier League this season, Son, when he started the match. Ball's out of play on the far side for a throw-in to Newcastle. Good noise inside the stadium, but in my experience here, it can be very, very loud. But they do like Tottenham to be on the front foot, I've noticed. Antonio Conte watching down there with his arms tightly crossed as Nick Pope plays the ball out from the back. Newcastle, as I mentioned, the best defence in the Premier League so far this season, with only 9 goals conceded. Ball headed forward by Longley straight out of play. So these are the teams. Tottenham have made 5 changes, so half of the outfield players have changed for Spurs since the game at Old Trafford on Wednesday night. Although you should note that both Hotspur and Romero have got minor injuries, so are not involved today. Maybe Antonio Conte thinking about that match here against Sporting in the Champions League on Wednesday night, taking no chances as Newcastle go back to Pope. And now it's been brought forward by the huge figure of Dan Burn, who plays it square to Bruno Guimaraes. A raking pass from him to the right-hand side that is kept in play over here on this side by Almiron, Newcastle's top scorer this season. Now the bleach hair of Guimaraes again. Kieran Trippier on the right-hand side, back into Almiron. This is good confidence stuff by Newcastle. Guimaraes still gives it away under pressure, passes it straight to Oliver Skipp. And Skipp now to Kane. Kane's pass through the right-hand side to Emerson Royal. Back to Skipp. Now Son on the edge of the D. A corner is just over the top right corner. Already 2 efforts from Son. 1 straight at the keeper. This one just over the top. Yeah,
he's in the mood, to be fair. He is. It's good play from Harry Kane. He plays a good ball to Emerson Royal. And Skipp was the advanced midfielder. He played it to Son. Anything in Son's mind was to just get that shot. He shifts it and tries to bend it, hits the top of the net. A brilliant start from Son so far.
I think if that had dipped, if he got the dip on that he wanted, I think Nick Pope was beaten. Full-length dive to his left, but just avoided the crossbar and landed on the roof of the net. So the Tottenham team that we're watching here, Lloris, the captain, in goal, Sanchez, Dyer and Longley, the 3 central defenders. So Sanchez and Longley coming in either side of Dyer. Then Emerson Royal back from suspension on the right, so Doherty on the bench. Sessegnon on the left, so Perisic on the substitutes bench. And Bentancur, Skipp and Bissouma in the middle. And then Kane and Son furthest forward. Newcastle coming forward with Callum Wilson, but it bounces down and Spurs are able to clear it. Eric Dyer getting the touch and then further away by Sessegnon.
You know what?
Oh, that's a good ball from the halfway line from Schär, and then Joe Linton is challenged. The ball bounces down, shouts for a penalty. Low shot from Almiron is deflected wide.
That will be looked at. I don't know if there is a penalty. It was a great ball and a great run from Joe Linton. Their brilliant run, and they are going around him, and they will be checking it. But a run, Emerson Royal doesn't know where he is. It's a great ball and it's a great run. He doesn't know where he is.
That's a clumsy challenge.
It is a clumsy challenge. It is a clumsy challenge. They will be looking at it, but VAR, it looks like the check's been complete already.
We're just watching it again on our screens here. Now we're going to see it for a 3rd time. They are hip to hip.
Do you know what happens? Joe Linton puts his leg into Emerson Royal, so I think they made the right decision, John.
So it's a little bit like the one we were watching earlier on the television,
yes.
Which was, well, we'll come back to that. Corner. Newcastle take it short, and it's swung in by Trippier, but headed away for Tottenham. And it comes back to Almiron, left-footed ball in, that's gone deep, that's gone to the back post, and it's played across from the left-hand side, but Tottenham clear on the edge of their 6-yard box. Still 0-0, Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Who was it we were watching earlier who went down on the edge of the box?
We were watching Arsenal-Southampton. We were watching the Arsenal-Southampton game. So who was it? Was it
Saka?
It was Saka. Yeah, it was Saka, and he got booked. He got a yellow card, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Saka.
What's wrong with this, Clinton?
I know. I don't know what's happening. How can we forget? It was 2 hours ago, though, John. A lot's happened since then.
Memories like goldfish.
Yeah.
5 minutes played. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. So this is 5 Live, the World Service. Listen as well on the move via BBC Sounds, and Tottenham clearing away through Dyer to the halfway line, but Kieran Trippier got his head to that. Trippier again with it on the right-hand side. Antonio Conte, as he likes to do, whenever the player's right next to him, he moves up and down the edge of the coaching area with the ball. And Newcastle, here's Longstaff, another one of the players who has found a new level under Eddie Howe. Joe Linton on the left-hand side, he was a doubt, quite a big doubt actually, I was led to believe, but he's okay. He's another one who, you stop him playing. And Guimaraes now, high pass from the left-hand side, all the way here to the right-hand side. Almiron heads it back to Trippier, now into the box to Longstaff. Good run from Longstaff into the area, but defender Longley went with him, blocked it behind corner Newcastle.
Newcastle's midfield three are dominating Tottenham. Bruno Guimaraes, you can't give players that much time. And good run from Longstaff, running beyond the centre forward. Good defending, but they are dominating at the moment.
That was the kind of play from Longstaff, when he first came onto the scene, that people were talking. In fact, Manchester United were interested, weren't they? And they were talking about.
You're right.
30, 40, 50 million pounds potentially. Corner then, Newcastle. Trippier to take this. Deep one to the back post. There's no one with Byrne, who lifts it back across the penalty area. Lloris comes, gets a punch. He hasn't cleared the penalty area, but Bentancur is able to get there first. And Bentancur plays it back, and Spurs are going to have to be careful here. Sanchez playing it away to Bentancur, who was under pressure. Now Emerson Royal plays it forward. Newcastle are putting Tottenham under real pressure here in the opening 10 minutes of this match.
John, they're dominating, and that's what... and Tottenham don't dominate games. This is how Antonio Conte set them out to play, to have the 5 at the back. They don't move unless they're breaking, and that's what they play, counter-attacking football. And Newcastle have huge confidence now, dominate, and they've got players that can take the ball in as well.
This Newcastle team that's playing here is Guimaraes is fouled by Bissouma. It's free kick to Newcastle, middle of their own half, and Guimaraes drops on the ball, almost Rugby League World Cup style. Free kick. So the Newcastle team, Pope in goal, Trippier, Schär, Botman and Byrne. That's a back four that's tripping off the tongue of the Newcastle supporters at the moment. Then Longstaff, Guimaraes and Joe Willock coming in, and then Almiron, Wilson and Joe Linton. Murphy on the bench today. Here's Son. Son turns onto his left foot, 25 yards out, goes for goal again, but this one flies away by a distance.
It's like
he's actually getting further away.
He is.
3 efforts on goal.
And he's like, I'm not passing to anyone but Harry Kane, and then I'm just going to shoot. If I'm about 20, 25, 30 yards out, I'm just trying to shoot. And that's what he's trying to do at the moment. But no, Newcastle have started ever so well. Eddie Howe will be happy with the way they've started.
That's Clinton Morrison, Premier League goal scorer, Republic of Ireland international, with us here in our brilliant position, high up on the dressing room side of the Tottenham Stadium, in the top tier. So you get a great view of the wonderful bowl that is this stadium, and the golden cockerel sitting up there, floodlit, it already is, on its perch above, looking at it now, it seems to be almost right above the head of the Tottenham captain, Hugo Lloris, who's matching the cockerel, isn't he, almost, all in yellow. Throw in for Spurs, that Sessegnon plays back to Longley, and Lloris clears, long and left-footed, and there is an offside flag up on the far side against Tottenham. He'll be worried, Hugo Lloris, to hear the news, as will all Manchester United fans, of Raphael Varane after that nasty-looking injury. Although I have heard a little bit of talk that maybe it's not as bad as it initially seemed, but we'll find out in due course. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. After an eventful afternoon, there will be a 6:06 tonight before live coverage of the US Grand Prix. Free kick, Trippier takes it long for Newcastle, up towards the edge of the penalty area. It's taken out there over to the far side by Joe Linton, who plays it back, and the ball into the penalty area from Longstaff is far too close to Lloris. No Newcastle player within a distance of that. and Lloris was able to stretch high and take the catch.
Going back to Varane, they're one in fit. They're already probably going to be without Pogba and Kante, and he's a crucial player for France at the World Cup.
Mind you, if there's any squad at the World Cup that can
handle it, it's them.
That can handle it with a load of absences, it's France. They go so deep, don't they? Newcastle with the ball on the edge of their own penalty area. Tottenham trying to put the press on them, but they get it away. And then Skip through the middle. Son with a touch to Kane. Kane back to Son. Lovely Tottenham. Son with a chip. It's blocked by Pope. He got a hand to it. And then it was cleared away by Trippier, who came back in the 6-yard box. Oh, that was smooth as silk. Son and Kane together. It just needed the finish from Son from the angle, and he wasn't able to provide it.
Yeah, he's got to just put his foot through it, John. It's a brilliant play from Harry Kane. What a ball he's played inside the fullback Dan Burn and Botman. Son makes a brilliant run, and he tries to dink it over Nick Pope. Pope gets enough, and Trippier clears it off the line. I feel in that position, just side foot that hard and low into the bottom corner.
Just seeing it again, I think he was onside. He went for the touch finish with his right foot as Pope came out. But that's another big plus for the Newcastle United goalkeeper. After all of his clean sheets this season, he got an important hand. It still just took a glance and bounced goalwards, but he'd taken the pace off it. It just bounced down, and Trippier was able to come across and clear it away. So it is still 0-0. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Newcastle having kept clean sheets in their last 2 matches against Manchester United, and in midweek when they won against Everton with that goal from Almiron. So for Nick Pope this season, 5 clean sheets, played in all the games, 11
He's been
matches.
brilliant. And what I've seen today, where he struggled for England, is playing out from the back. He's been comfortable in possession so far.
Yeah, played in all of the Premier League matches, just sat out the League Cup tie against Tranmere. Newcastle down the other end, Trippier with the throw, but it deflects out of play. Off Sessegnon, throw into Newcastle that Trippier takes. Back to Schär. Fabian Schär goes back into his own half to the substantial figure of Sven Botman, the summer signing from Lille. Forward from him, but Tottenham have got it back. Bissouma, one of Spurs' summer signings from Brighton. He's taken a while to find a starting role. Forward from Spurs to Kane, and then Kane down the left-hand side to Sessegnon, and Sessegnon pulls it right across, but the offside flag is up, actually, belatedly against Sessegnon, and he had strayed beyond the back line.
That infuriates players, fans and managers. When you're wide and you can see right across the line, John, and you're offside. Because Harry Kane does well, and Sessegnon...
It was tight, though.
It was tight. All right, then I let him off. It was tight, but he still should be looking across the line.
Yeah, that might have been one, you know, if it had ended up in the back of the net.
Yeah, you never know. It might have got overturned.
That could have been sit here for 3 minutes while we'll wait for the lines to be drawn. But it'll all change, won't it? Next year, for the World Cup, there's going to be this new system, isn't there? Which is going to be super fast.
Looking forward to that.
As Thomas Tuchel might say. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. And the intention is for that to be in the Premier League next season. Sort of Hawkeye style technology.
Much better.
Yes, they've had a right fuss, haven't they, in Scotland after it was introduced this week.
Oh,
VAR, welcome to
our world. Yeah. Took a bit of time to get a few decisions right there, that's for sure.
So it was an interesting one, the Hearts Celtic yesterday. Yeah. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. 5 Live, the World Service from the BBC. And we'll have more reaction to the earlier games. So if you're on your way home from any of those matches that were played earlier, we will hear from more of the managers and the players at half-time in this match. Tottenham playing it out from the back. Longley to Sessegnon. Ryan Sessegnon coming into the side for Perisic. And Spurs now with Bissouma in the centre circle. Loan forward from him. Kane with a little touch off to Skip. And then back to Kane, who tried to give it back to the run of Oliver Skip, but Botman was able to get there. Just the pass from Kane was a little short. Dyer, though, steps forward. The Spurs have it now on the right-hand side with Emerson Royal. Nutmeg on Willock. And then crossfield pass high to Sessegnon, so that's one wing back to the other. Sessegnon gets it down, takes on Trippier, takes him on again, gets the cross in left-footed. Kane goes for the header, defender was in there as well, half cleared. Bissouma goes for goal on the volley, just took a touch, it dropped, and he went for it on the volley. but over the top by, what, a yard and a half.
Yeah, good play from Emerson Rowe. A little cheeky nutmeg on Willock, and then a good diagonal ball to Session. Session gets half a yard, and Kane makes a good run. It was good defending in the end by Fabian Schär and then by Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, a nutmeg on the former Arsenal man in the Newcastle lineup.
Always nice, isn't it,
Could be
John?
seen as playing to the crowd. It's a goal kick, and at half-time we are going to hear from none other than Aaron Danks, the interim manager of Aston Villa, who, according to Pat Murphy, Clinton, Aaron Danks was very much milking the 4-0 victory that Aston Villa had over Brentford. But as you and I were saying off-air earlier, I wonder what Steven Gerrard was thinking when Aston Villa found themselves 3-0 up after 14 minutes, after the struggles they've had under his management recently. So we'll hear anyway from Aaron Danks, Liam Cooper as well, the Leeds captain. We've already heard from Jesse Marsh. If you want to go back on the live radio on Sounds and rewind it, that would be, what, about 10 minutes, in the 10 minutes before this match kicked off. The Leeds manager, the under-pressure Leeds manager, Jesse Marsh, as I think we have to call him. And we'll hear from Ralph Hasenhüttl as well, the Southampton manager, after Southampton became only the second team to take points off Arsenal this season. So Southampton won, Arsenal won. So that means Arsenal 28 points now, Manchester City on 26 at the top of the Premier League table. So that's all coming up at half-time. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. It's been quite entertaining so far, Clinton.
No, it's been a good game. Both teams, obviously Newcastle, I think for the first 10 minutes were the better team, but Tottenham are growing into this game, John.
Yeah, and it is Spurs who've had all the chances, really. There's been a bit of a shoot-on-sight policy from Tottenham, maybe taking a leaf out of Manchester United's book after they were there at Old Trafford on Wednesday night. Bissouma forward to Bentancur, and now Skip on the right-hand side passes the ball forward, but Pope was very quickly out of his penalty area and got to it, left-footed, just straight downfield. Dyer with the challenge on Wilson, but Almiron is now dispossessed by Bentancur, and so Spurs played up towards Kane, who was challenged by Trippier, and then Kane in again. Almiron goes down very easily, and referee Gillett says get up to the Paraguayan, and Spurs are just playing it out from the back. Sessegnon turns and gives it back to Longley. Bissouma now dropping deep and carrying the ball forward away from Wilson and passing it out to the right-hand side, and then a first-time ball from Emerson Royal looking for Skip, but Botman was there alongside him, and Botman just tackled it out of play for a throw-in to Spurs, almost up level with the edge of the Newcastle box. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Bissouma. Wilson forces him to turn and go back to Eric Dyer, and now Longley, short and forward from him to Bentancur, back to Longley again. Another French international central defender, incidentally, Clément Longley, on loan from Barcelona. Willock's ball, no, that's got way too much on it. Looking for the run of Joe Linton, that just gives possession back to Tottenham. Yeah,
he's moaning at Joe Linton. It's poor from Willock. He's got to be better. He's got to keep possession because Tottenham are starting to dominate. I tell you, he's making good runs from Tottenham's midfield, and usually sits more. Skip, he's the most advanced midfielder this afternoon so far. Yeah,
Oliver Skip. He had a calf injury, which is why he's not really been much involved this season. It's his first start of the season. Came on as a substitute in the last 4 games. But yes, playing in a very advanced position. Still only 22 years old, Oliver Skip. Could well have a full international future ahead of him, as Joe Linton lifts the ball over the top, but Wilson in an offside position, so the flag was up, and it's a free kick to Spurs halfway inside their own half.
That's the only thing Newcastle haven't done, is got Callum Wilson into the game much. As I say, they've been good in possession, but they haven't got him in, and he'll probably fancy his chances against Eric Dyer and Longley in a race. So they need to try, and he'll play on the shoulders, and he's trying to find that precise pass to get him in behind. Yeah, quite a blow for them, isn't it, to have lost their record signing, Alexander Isak, he's played only 3 times. Oh, back pass from Dyer! Goodness me, that was so close. It was wide of Lloris, and it was wide of the foot of the post by what, a foot? He put some pace on that, Eric Dyer. It was played back to him, and I don't think he's looking. I think it's a comfortable pass. He overhits it, and Lloris was backpedaling. He's lucky that was the wrong side of the post. That was on target, it was in. Oh, it was definitely in. He wouldn't have saved that, Lloris. There was too much pace on the ball. So it's a cheap corner.
Newcastle score from this, Eric Dyer and Tottenham will only be able to blame themselves. Trippier to take it. Back here at his old club, Kieran Trippier, if you remember. Trippier out swinger, but in time-honoured fashion, it was Eric Dyer who actually got there and headed it away, took command in the air, and then Almiron has a waft goalwards with his left foot that lacked... I mean, that was convincing no one that. It was 6 yards wide.
I know he scored a lot of spectacular goals recently, but that was a bit too optimistic there, John.
Well, if you don't buy a ticket, as they always used to say. Full times in the Rugby Union in the Premiership, Sale 13, Harlequins 29, and in the United Rugby Championship, Dragons 32, Ospreys 25. And also full time in the Rugby League World Cup, it has finished Lebanon 32, Ireland 14. Commiserations, Clinton losing out to Lebanon. As Bissouma plays the ball forward from the halfway line. I'm not sure he meant it to end up where it has, but it has, at the feet of Sessegnon on the left, and Sessegnon has beaten Longstaff, and he's taking on Trippier now, who forces him back out of the penalty area, and Sessegnon puts his foot on the ball, rolls it nicely, back to Longley. Longley's cross to the back post, is headed away by Botman, and it comes out to Sanchez, who miscontrols it, bounces under his foot. Groans from the home supporters, and then Longley is almost dispossessed by Almiron. I think we'd just draw a veil over that list.
Yeah, let's not. I don't think we should talk about that. Let's move on, because that was a bad, literally 10 seconds.
Let's talk about the Lebanon. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Son is challenged by Guimaraes. That was sturdy. Bounces for Longstaff. Bentancur puts his foot in, but got the ball. Bounces out of play. Longstaff is suggesting that might have been a foul by Bentancur. Referee Gillett was having none of it. And here's Bissouma. In this role today, Bissouma has had very much more the Bissouma of Brighton about him, don't you think?
Yeah, and that's where he wants to play, but Højbjerg plays there and has done such a brilliant job so far this season, so it's difficult to dispossess him in that position, but that is where he wants to play. That's where he's effective.
Harry Kane does well on the halfway line, puts 3 Newcastle players out of the match. Skip takes it forward, plays it across the edge of the box. Sessegnon with a shot, but then the cover was there from Cher, and it didn't even actually get to Nick Pope in the goal, who was diving down to his left, because Cher stuck out a Swiss right leg and put it behind.
He dropped so deep, Harry Kane, and you want to see him in the box, but you know why he does, John, because he's the one who can pick that pass. A good run from Skip, good touch from Sessegnon, but good defending from Fabian Cher.
Corner for Spurs. I've got this as their first corner of the match.
Yeah, you're right.
Son from the left-hand side to take this. Tottenham crowding players at just beyond the penalty spot, between the penalty spot and the edge of the 6-yard box, so there's lots of blue and gold for Newcastle in there as well. Here it comes, punched away by Pope in amongst all of that crowd, and Skip turns it back in. Bentancur with a shot that's blocked, comes back to him, couldn't get the shot in. Dyer's there, he shoots, that's blocked by a sprawling Trippier, who just threw himself in front of it and blocked it away to the far side. And then over there on that right flank, it's also blocked by Byrne, out for a throw. Well, that's wholehearted defending from Newcastle.
Yeah, very good defending, and Byrne done ever so well. It's a good block there where Dyer was going to have a shot, but it's good pressure now from Tottenham. They're growing into this game now, John.
It's like all quiet on the Western Front. There, they were all, that's that. You hear it, don't you, about that, as Son is picked up for a foul on Trippier on the halfway line. But there is that, you can see it there, little periods of play like that. This absolute determination from this Newcastle defence that's doing so well this season to, however you do it, to not let the opposition through.
Yeah, you can see why they haven't conceded a lot of goals. The back four are really tight together. The fullbacks don't really get across the halfway line that much. If it is, it's Trippier and Burns tucked in to make it a third centre-half. They're resilient, that's for sure.
Clinton Morrison with us on 5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. We're always there on BBC Sounds. 20 minutes of the first half to play. Free kick then, after that Son free kick that certainly disputed by Tottenham. And Spurs holding an extremely high line. Trippier takes a high free kick to the edge of the box. It's headed across by Byrne. Wilson got to it, and as he was swinging a foot at it, he sort of sliced it up, and he's been caught there as well. There were two defenders in front of him. He's gone straight down Wilson, and Newcastle have put the ball out of play. He was trying to...
He's trying to volley it, and I think he must have got a bit of contact on his ankle as he's made contact. So it's a good header from Botman. Yeah, and it's Lengley who just catches him on the top of his ankle just as he's about to have that shot. Oh, it's after. So Wilson gets the shot away, and then he catches him on his ankle after. Yeah, it's
like the ankle or the bone on the top of his foot. And so that'll have been painful.
Yeah, very painful.
But hopefully he's okay. He's on his feet. I mean, that would be a concern, obviously, for Newcastle.
Oh, they don't want him to be injured. No, Isak. And he is important. He's important to Newcastle, Callum Wilson. He needs to stay fit as well. Get a run of games going.
Yeah, this is his 8th appearance of the season. So this is the 5th in a row. But it's always been an issue. Podcaster now, of course, with us on the BBC.
Yep.
Callum Wilson. Long ball. This is one for Wilson to chase, but he won't be able to catch it because it's bounced through to Lloris. And Wilson continues his run there and sort of grabs the arms of Lloris, even though he'd long caught it. So the Tottenham fans are onto Callum Wilson. But it all calms down. Yeah, the Footballers Football podcast.
Is it him and Mikel Antonio? Oh, that should be fun. Yeah. Them two together.
Yeah, carving a niche. They'll be after your job in a minute, Clinton, if you're not careful.
I know, they're coming for me. Yeah. I'll hang them up soon though, John, don't worry.
Hold them up.
All right.
Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Here's Bissouma on the edge of his own penalty area, giving it back to Davinson Sanchez. And Sanchez, long and right-footed. This is for Son to chase, but it just drifts out of play on the halfway line. It's a throw-in to Newcastle. So it's still Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. As I say, 6:06 will follow. I'll let you know when the lines are open. We'll presumably be hearing from either Robbie Savage or Chris Sutton at half-time. So there's about an hour of 6:06 taking your calls. And then coverage of the United States Grand Prix live from Texas. Our whole team are in Texas right now. And we'll bring you commentary on the race tonight with Carlos Sainz on pole and the new world champion Max Verstappen second on the grid. And the race is due to begin at 8 o'clock, so that's on 5 Live sport tonight from live from Texas. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Bissouma back to Eric Dyer on the edge of the D, right-footed and long from him up towards Son, headed forward by Botman, who got there first. Spurs, of course, operating without Richarlison and Kulusevski. That's quite a loss, those two. Forward from Longley. This is for Son to chase. Pope's come out of his box and just backed away and volleyed it high, not out of play. So Emerson Royal heads it forward into the path of Kane. Kane shoots straight into the legs of Cher. Comes back for Spurs again. Bentancur has been able to find Emerson. Joe Linton puts in the challenge. No free kick, says referee Gillett, feeling that he got the ball there. And then it's played forward for Newcastle down the right-hand side. Right.
It was good. It was brilliant defending from Joe Linton, and he did get the ball, John. It was brilliant back-tracking there from Joe Linton.
And Newcastle come forward now, up to Trippier. Trippier passing it beyond Longley, and so Almiron has made a run out towards the right-hand side. Almiron down again for Trippier. Trippier's crossed the outswinger, which is headed up and away by Eric Dyer, and then Sessegnon heads it away, but that's just given possession back to Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes, new father he is. The baby was born on Friday, to Joe Linton. Back it comes now to Bruno Guimaraes, centrally. Little slip pass to Longstaff, who was 25 yards out, but he was dispossessed by Bentancur. And Bentancur has released Harry Kane, and Harry Kane sprinting away downfield. Cher in front of him, into the box now, shoots, saved by the foot of Pope. The England captain denied by the England goalkeeper Pope. It comes out to Son on the edge of the area. Kane again, lovely turn, and then stretches, manages to direct it away from Willock, and then back to Bissouma, centrally again. Davinson Sanchez, away from Joe Linton, and Sanchez has crossed to the back post. Sessegnon heads it across the box, but it bounces straight into Longstaff, who is then fouled by Skip, and it's a free kick to Newcastle on the edge of their own box.
Yeah, it was a brilliant break from Harry Kane. Poor from Longstaff in Tottenham's half. Anyway, giving the ball away, sloppy in possession. He hasn't started well enough for Newcastle. But Harry Kane, he just drove one-on-one with Fabian Schär, and Schär didn't go and engage. He kept backing off. And once you get in a penalty area, you can't tackle Harry Kane. Great shot, but good save from Nick Pope. Really good save from Pope.
Yeah, just stuck out a left foot. It was a real Nick Pope save, that,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It was with the feet, with the old big size 12s.
Yeah. Just stuck out his left leg and made the stop. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Lots of great goalkeepers have been adept at saving with their legs over the years. I think Pat Jennings was one of them.
One of the best.
Yeah, at that, I remember, I think. Well, mind you, we couldn't remember what was happening 2 hours ago, could we?
No, we got our memory back now.
We have, yes. Here's Bruno Guimaraes. 15 minutes to go to half-time. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0, but it's been quite entertaining. Trippier back to Cher, and then Cher's pass over the top. Wilson onto it. Lloris comes out of his box. Wilson made contact with him. Wilson goes for goal and puts it in the net. And
Great
Tottenham
finish.
are going to complain about this.
Nice.
No question.
For me, I don't think it will be a foul because he takes a touch. Wilson just stands his ground. He just stands his ground. And once he gets into that position, it's a fantastic finish from Callum Wilson. I don't think it will be overturned, John.
Referee Gillett is definitely sticking to his guns here, but almost all of the Tottenham players are around the referee. Newcastle are celebrating the Callum Wilson goal. There's a yellow card being shown to Bentancur, presumably for something he said. And Tottenham here, they'll be in trouble for this because there are 10 Tottenham players, including Lloris, the captain, and actually now they're almost all there around the referee.
Watch it
Super
again
finish
here.
from Wilson, though.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Watch it again here, John. Lloris takes it. Oh. See, we were. I tell you where we were earlier on in the season, John, at Nottingham Forest when West Ham's goal was disallowed when Antonio ran into the defender. But I think Callum Wilson's just standing there. I don't think he actually leans into Hugo Lloris. So it's a big decision for VAR to have a look. But it's a fantastic finish, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant finish from 25 yards because it bounced out. Wilson was able, while Lloris was down on the ground.
If you know what he does, John, if you see when Lloris takes the touch, if Wilson leans into him, then it's going to be given as a foul.
Do you know, that's a really tough call.
It is a tough call.
The ball's played over the top. Lloris comes out of the penalty area. It's Lloris who gets a touch first of all with the top of his right thigh.
He does, yeah.
Wilson is bearing down on him, and the two of them then
collide
come together. They collide.
Yeah,
And
they collide.
It's as much Lloris into Wilson as it is Wilson into Lloris. And
Look,
the decision here is,
but
you see there's an arm.
It's the arm. I think if the arm didn't go up, that's the big question that VAR were looking at, is because of Callum Wilson's arm. This could go either way. Do they want to overturn the referee's decision? That's the big question for VAR.
Yeah, and still the players are milling around. VAR are looking at this, obviously. The referee is now
calling the two captains.
Yeah, well, he's going to speak to Trippier and
no,
to
they're
Harry
checking the
Kane.
goal for a possible handball.
Goal's given.
Yeah, look, it was a handball. They weren't even doing it for the foul. It's the handball.
Goal's given.
It has to be given. He doesn't move. He doesn't move his body into the goalkeeper. They were checking for a handball.
Newcastle take the lead. Callum Wilson has scored his 4th goal of the season, and Tottenham are 1-0 down here against Newcastle United. Tottenham, who have not lost on this ground. Indeed, they've won every game that they've played on this ground since April, but it is Tottenham 0, Newcastle 1. And it's a controversial opening goal, Clinton Morrison.
No, it is controversial, but for me, the goal has to stand. It has to stand because Callum Wilson doesn't run in the path of Hugo Lloris. And the VAR wasn't even checking the foul. They were checking a possible handball from Callum Wilson. The only thing you could say, John, is his arm's out there. He's put his arm up, but he's not moved his body in the way of Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris should have just moved him out the way.
Well, that's one that will split opinion. I'm certain of that.
Oh, for sure.
If you are a Newcastle United fan, you will feel that there was absolutely nothing wrong with it and that it was just a collision. If you're a Tottenham fan, you'll feel that Callum Wilson has impeded goalkeeper Lloris.
And there is a fan amongst us here as well, a Tottenham fan, John, and he said that the goal was the right way. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So there is a fan amongst us.
Well, maybe then I should say some Tottenham fans would say.
Yeah.
Tottenham 0, Newcastle United 1, and the Newcastle fans are celebrating and they're in joyous mood. Bentancur now to the left-hand side. Sessegnon with a cross right over the penalty area, and actually Emerson Royal will do well to keep that in, which he hasn't, and it's cheered as it bounces out of play by the Newcastle fans who are in that corner. Lots and lots of black and white striped replica shirts we can see around that section in the where there is an exit from the stadium down there as well. That's where the Tottenham players and the manager all come in before the game, which is quite a... I don't know whether you've ever witnessed that, Clinton. Indeed, whether you've ever been here early enough to see that.
No, I was here early today. They come in from round there and they walk round here, see?
And they all come round.
They all come round.
On the big screen.
Yeah.
And they play the instrumental version of The Boys Are Back in Town.
Yeah.
And here's Son, but they're 1-0 down. Son, who's had a series of chances in the match, as have Tottenham, but it's Callum Wilson who scored with that goal. 25 yards, it was an excellent finish. After that collision between the two of them, Wilson managed to recover, got to the ball 25 yards out, and even though the defender's coming back, Lloris was there as well, he lifted it over the top of all of them and into the net. So 1-0 it is. Bentancur playing the ball out towards the right-hand side. Emerson Royal getting the ball down. He's got support behind him from Davinson Sanchez. This is going to be a test for Spurs now. Bentancur against this Newcastle defence. Well, they'll need better than that. Bentancur passed it straight to Almiron, and Wilson takes a good first touch, and he's up against Dyer now, to the edge of the box. Wilson placed it square. Almiron's onto this, but a heavy touch, and then he ran into Sanchez, and Spurs were able to clear. And that was a good opening for Newcastle, and Almiron wasn't able to take advantage.
He wasn't, but I don't know for the life of me why Callum Wilson, he's got Eric Dyer one-on-one. The touch is brilliant from Callum Wilson. He just scored a fantastic goal. Go and take him on and be positive and get your shot away. But it was good play. Almiron had a poor touch, but Newcastle will sit back now. They can sit back now and wait for Tottenham to come out. And Tottenham struggle to come out and break down teams.
Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Just noticed on my score sheet here, I've put down the scorer of Newcastle's goal as Clinton Morrison.
I wish I scored a goal like that. I like that, yeah, John. But we can just say that I did score. That was a great finish.
Yeah, you can't claim that one. So I've got my Tipex out, and you've had that goal taken away by the dubious. There's never been a more dubious goal scorer. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 1, and here's Joe Linton on the left-hand side. Back it comes towards Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, they are. This is the first time I've seen Newcastle live this season.
Yeah, me too. They look a very good outfit, don't they, John?
Don't they just? Seen them on the television, but there's nothing like seeing live sport, is there? As Bruno Guimaraes plays the ball over the top, Joe Linton's in an offside position. He's going to have a go anyway. Oh, he very nearly buried it in the top corner. I think it might have clipped the outside of the post. That was a fine effort, but. The offside flag was well up at this point. Now, here's an interesting one. Ben Foster has had a word on Twitter about this, and he says, Ben Foster, England goalkeeper, says this Callum Wilson goal has to be disallowed. The goalkeeper is the player in control of the ball. Just going to keep an eye on Longley, who's got the ball on the edge of his own penalty area. Dyer plays it away. So Ben Foster says the goalkeeper is the player in control of the ball. Newcastle are coming forward again, but there's an offside flag up against Almiron. So Ben Foster says the goalkeeper is the player in control of the ball. If he beats the striker to the ball and the striker is in the way, unfortunately it's a foul. There's nothing the striker can do about it, but it's still a foul. If an outfield player knocks it past an opposing player and they're in their way like that, it's a foul every single time.
They are given outside. They are given. Sometimes they are given, but sometimes someone just stands their ground and it's not given. And I feel the reason they didn't overturn that, John, is because he didn't move his body into Hugo Lloris. But I understand Ben Foster. I'm not gonna argue with him.
Do you know, I think another point there, I'd like to, we'll see it again at half-time as Spurs played forward towards Skip, but that's dealt with by Botman, who turns it out to the left-hand side. I think another little point there is that as the two of them are coming out, Lloris has got there, and the two are actually decelerating.
They stop.
They're decelerating towards one another, and then they sort of bump
into each other,
and Lloris goes down. So I think that is a factor, that they're not going full tilt into one another.
If he carries on running and continues at the pace, Callum Wilson, then it's a Stonewall foul.
Yeah, Tottenham 0, Newcastle 1. Newcastle coming forward again, they're looking for a second here. Longstaff to Almiron. Almiron now back to Longstaff on the right. Longstaff chips it to the back post. There's no one there in a blue Newcastle shirt, and Spurs can get it away through Emerson Royal, and then Bruno Guimaraes slides in to put the ball out of play.
He's a player, by the way. Bruno Guimaraes is a player. Like you could see earlier on in the season, they were talking about Real Madrid linked to him. He's got that kind of ability that he can go and play anywhere he wants to. He's an outstanding footballer.
Yeah, £40 million or thereabouts they spent on him from Lyon in January, and he's another one who's a big favourite. He'll be in the Brazil squad as Almiron gets away from Sessegnon and then beats Longley, and Almiron scores brilliantly from the angle. What a super goal from Miguel Almiron! Away from two defenders, he still had Lloris to beat from the angle, but he tucked it away on his left foot under the goalkeeper superbly, and Newcastle now lead here at Tottenham by 2-0. And this long 10-match winning streak that Tottenham are on here is under severe danger. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 2, and Almiron's just scored his 6th of the season.
Yeah, the kick out, the kick from Lloris is not good enough, but Sessegnon's got to be stronger. Almiron, Longstaff gets there, and then Almiron's there, and Sessegnon doesn't get back in. Almiron, but it's all about Almiron. He does well. He goes past Langley like he's not there. It's poor defending from Langley, and once he gets into that position, John, you can see that's a person that's in great form. He just tucks it under Hugo Lloris. Fantastic finish.
A really delightful finish. Goalkeeper came out, went to ground, but he managed to just tuck it away underneath him. And there we are, scored the winner in midweek against Everton. Now he scores Newcastle's 2nd goal here, and it is Tottenham 0, Newcastle 2. Tottenham, who've won all 7 matches they've played here this season and have won their last 10 at home since actually Brighton came here and won in April in the Premier League. It's a long way back for Tottenham from this. 2-0, they lost at Manchester United on Wednesday. Now 2-0 down at home to Newcastle.
And they ain't really got much that they can bring on, because they're apart from Lucas Moura.
Long ball forward to the edge of the area to Kane, but Trippier comes across and heads it back to Nick Pope, who's made important saves. The goalkeeper, you know, they've done their job at the other end first of all. And now, if Tottenham are going to come back into this and turn it around, Tottenham have got to score, well, at least 3 times against the Premier League's best defence this season.
Exactly, and that's going to be difficult. And every time when they come out and they're open, Newcastle will try and play on the counter-attack.
Newcastle are thinking of more goals. Almiron looks full of running down the right-hand side, although I'm not sure there's ever a time when he doesn't look full of running.
Oh yeah, he's always been running, but he's running even more now, John, that he's scoring goals full of confidence.
I mean, I've seen him sometimes when he's been and played for Paraguay in Asuncion on a midweek, and then he's back, and you'd think he'd been laid up in front of the television all week with the energy that he has. But this one ends up back with goalkeeper Lloris.
Tottenham fans they'll get booed off at half-time for sure. They're not happy, the Tottenham fans, because they feel like they're overplaying. And down this left side, they have a problem with Langley and Sessegnon. They can't handle Almiron.
And then Dyer hits a pass under no pressure. That's an unforced error by Eric Dyer, passing the ball above head height to Sessegnon, who jumped for it, had no chance of keeping it in, and it's a throw into Newcastle 10 yards inside the Tottenham half.
Yeah, Conte's put his hands out telling them to like slow down and relax, but you can't relax. It's because it's the heat of the battle, and you hear the fans saying play forward quickly. That's why Eric Dyer makes that mistake. Tottenham 0,
Newcastle 2. A very, very good afternoon so far for Newcastle United and Eddie Howe. Here's Longley, who's easily beaten by Almiron. Just ran past him.
Poor defending, John. He did it. His body shape was all wrong. He knows Almiron wants to go on that side to come onto his left foot.
Half-time approaching. We're in the 44th minute. Floodlights are switched on, and suddenly the place seems illuminated under these gloomy grey skies. And Bentancur plays the ball over the top through the middle. Basuma's onto this, but Newcastle are there in numbers. Still Basuma's able to give it back to Sessegnon, square to Bentancur. And Bentancur, that's a nice pass to Son, right side of the box, but there are lots of blue Newcastle shirts back in there, and he has to go back to Skip, and then Skip's pass is a little short to Sanchez, and Tottenham are forced all the way back towards the halfway line, and it's that man Almiron again who's forcing Dyer to go all the way back to Lloris, who miscontrols it and has to turn and chip it forward to Longley, and now Dyer up towards Kane. But it's this Newcastle energy.
Oh, and it's Almiron. He like chases a lost course and then makes Lloris make a mistake, they go back. The fans start getting on the Tottenham players back. But you're right, John. The energy from the start from Newcastle has been brilliant, and it's the first time I've seen them live this season, and they've been outstanding.
They've really unsettled Tottenham here on their home ground, which has been, well, it's been a fortress for them since April.
It's because you know why? Tottenham are usually hard to beat and don't concede that much goals. They've conceded 2 now. They have to come out now, John.
Yeah, and Tottenham, you know, Tottenham, there will be long and loud complaints about the goal, the opening goal that was scored by Callum Wilson after a collision between Wilson himself and Hugo Lloris outside the penalty area. But referee Gillett, I think he had a good view of it as Almiron plays it into Sessegnon. That might well have been a handball, but it's not given. And Tottenham bring it forward, but then it's lost by Son, and Newcastle are back in business with Bruno Guimaraes, and he turns and gives it back to Trippier behind it. Trippier low and infield to Willock, and Willock through the middle, touch from Wilson. Guimaraes again, but Tottenham this time are back in position. Almiron has the touch on the right-hand side. And then Bruno Guimaraes lifts one over the top for Almiron. I think he'll get there. He tries to volley it up and high and across, but it was out of play.
That's the worst thing he's done all afternoon. He's been brilliant, but great ball from Bruno Guimaraes, and he just can't keep it in, Almiron. And he did keep it in, but his cross wasn't good enough. But they've been excellent, Newcastle. I'm so complimentary of this Newcastle team, how good they've been, because Tottenham are a very good team at home, and Newcastle have made them look ordinary in this first half.
And Clinton, you're talking about, you know, the options who can come on and change this on the bench. Perisic, Lucas Moura, Brian Hill, in terms of the forward players who are on the bench.
Not really much, is it? Option. Lucas Moura is just coming back from injury. They are missing Kulusevski big time, because he's the creative spark that makes things happen. Great
half for Newcastle. Kane away from Bruno Guimaraes, and that's a free kick. There isn't a great deal in that, but that's been given as a free kick to Tottenham.
Not happy Harry Kane, by the way. He's chuntering to the referee.
Yeah, and you might have heard that Alexander Mitrovic scored again for Fulham in their 3-2 win at Leeds, so that means Mitrovic is level with him on 9 goals in the Premier League this season, hasn't he? Just he's answered a few critics there, hasn't he? Bissouma long and forward with him with this free kick. Spurs would love a goal before half-time. It's played across by Emerson Royal, but Kane can't get there. Shea got there first. Comes out to Bissouma. We've already had 2 minutes. There are 3 minutes of added time, and we're into that 3rd minute now. So last chance for Spurs to score before the break. Son on the right-hand side. Back to Emerson. His cross is deflected into the path of Bruno Guimaraes, who volleys it away downfield. Oh my goodness! There's a lightning fork right above the stage here.
Did you see it? Yeah, the lightning.
Did I see it?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to hit me. Sessegnon long and forward to Son. Son pulls that down brilliantly, gives it back for the shot from the edge of the penalty area from Bentancur, but that was blocked by yet another defensive block from the Newcastle players. It was Longley actually who was up there on the edge of the box with the shot, but another super block by the Newcastle defenders. And there, listen to this reaction from the Tottenham supporters, and immediately Spurs go to referee Gillett. Harry Kane, Eric Dyer's going there as well to the referee with his orange shirt on, and they are complaining. Well, we know what they're complaining about. They're saying that opening goal should have been disallowed. But I don't know about you, Clinton. I feel that's a decision there, that the referee Gillett, has had a view of that. And I think it's an incident that, even though VAR had a look at it, this is in terms of the collision, the referee has called it, and I think that is one where you say, is that a clear and obvious error? And I think that's why they've made the decision.
Yeah, because
as you said at the time, actually VAR were looking to see if there was a handball by Wilson, which clearly they felt that there wasn't. Yeah, therefore the goal stood.
Yeah, and you're spot on. And it was a hard decision. They checked it for a few minutes, but I think the decision was the right one in the end. But Tottenham can't complain about that. They've been nowhere near it in this first half. They had a spell for 10 minutes. Newcastle have been the better team and deserved this lead. They've had a few where Nick Pope made a good save, but they need to get their big players in. And I look at their back, they're 8 players apart from Kane and Son. They need to get forward and help them too. It was the same at Man United in midweek, but credit Newcastle, been outstanding, John.
Well, Tottenham are looking now at a very bleak week. 2-0 at Old Trafford on Wednesday night when they lost to Manchester United, and now they're in danger of losing this great winning streak that dates back to April. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 2 at half-time with goals from Callum Wilson and Miguel Almiron.
Thanks, John and Clinton, for all the talk about Hugo Lloris and the boos at half-time, the spotlight very firmly on him. That was a pretty good half from Newcastle, who have been rewarded for their discipline and courage.
Yeah, Newcastle have been they were outstanding. Me and John have mentioned it in commentary. First time we've seen them live. They've been brilliant to a man. Every person knows their job, and you can see why they don't concede goals. They're nice and compact. And you got a striker up front in Callum Wilson who can score goals, and a person who's in brilliant form in Almiron. It's going all according to plan at the moment.
And that's just it. They've absorbed everything that was thrown at them, because however Tottenham finished that half, they started it looking really positive and really good, and they looked so threatening on the transitions.
No, they did, and that's what Tottenham liked, the transitions. Kane and Son were excellent, causing problems. Son had 3 shots in the first 10 or 15 minutes, and Kane had a great run where Pope made a save. So they were looking really threatening. And then after that, Newcastle weathered the storm and started dominating possession. Bruno Guimaraes in midfield just running the show and causing problems. And as I said, Almiron on the right-hand side caused Sessegnon all kinds of problems, and Langley, the third centre-half. And Callum Wilson, you've always got a threat with him up front. I know people will talk about should the goal have stood or not, but once he's in that position, it's a fantastic finish.
Just for the record, by the way, I just had a look on our Magic app, and VAR did first of all check that goal for a possible foul. So that was the first check, and the second check was for possible handball, but both were rejected.
I thought you were going to say you were checking the weather app after the thunder and lightning, to be honest with you. But you could hear the thunder rumble on just before the boos started. So at half-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Newcastle lead Tottenham by 2-0. And don't forget, you can catch all the incidents if you want to see them in that game so far, and Match the Day from 10:30 with Mark Chapman, Alan Shearer and Jermaine Defoe. We're going to hear from Aaron Danks after Aston Villa's 4-0 win over Brentford, and the Leeds United captain as well, Liam Cooper. And that follows the Leeds defeat to Fulham 3-2 at Ellen Road. Questions over the future of Jesse Marsh. Robbie Savage, he's going to join us to talk about 606, and that is after the latest news with Cart Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Rishi Sunak is leading the race to become the next Prime Minister. The former Chancellor has the backing of 146 MPs, including Tobias Ellwood.
When you get people like myself and Steve Baker, Kemi Badenoch and Suella Braverman as well, all coming together to support Rishi Sunak, that shows the party is wishing to unite, recognising, though, that if we're not united, then we are divided. And if we're divided, as I say, we don't govern well.
Allies of Penny Mordaunt, who's also standing, say Boris Johnson has asked her to drop out and back his campaign. He needs the support of 100 colleagues to get into the ballot, but only 57 have publicly endorsed him so far. He's still not officially declared that he's running. While the Labour First Minister of Wales, Mark Drakeford, says the only way out of the current crisis is a general election.
Any fair-minded person looking at the way in which the Conservative Party has itself become ungovernable would feel that the way to get a legitimate mandate for the very difficult decisions that are now to be made is to put your case to the people and let them decide.
Defence Minister Ben Wallace has spoken to his Russian counterpart Sergei Shoigu about the war in Ukraine. During the telephone call this afternoon, Mr. Shoigu expressed concern that Kyiv could be preparing to use a dirty bomb to provoke Russia. Moscow has not provided evidence to support the claim. A Russian warplane has crashed into a residential house in Siberia, killing both pilots. It's the second such incident in 6 days. A woman has been stabbed to death and another seriously injured at a house in East London. Police are searching for a man who is believed to have been known to both women. And a powerful hurricane with winds of 120 miles an hour has hit Mexico's Pacific coast. The authorities have warned of dangerous storm surges, landslides and flooding.
Essential football listening.
Great ball! And it's a great goal!
Europe's elite club competition.
Double Bill Tuesdays are back in the Champions League. On Tuesday, RB Salzburg host Chelsea. Kick-off 5:45. And from 8, Borussia Dortmund take on Manchester City. And on Wednesday, it's Spurs against Sporting Lisbon. Kick-off 8 p.m.
Europe's elite club competition.
The Champions League.
This is 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport.
It's 5:25. I'm Juliette Ferrington. Welcome back to 5 Live Premier League Sunday. It's been a manic afternoon. We're into our 5th commentary game of the afternoon. Spurs 0, Newcastle 2 at half-time. After that, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. They'll be taking your calls on 606 08 085 909 693 if you want to call. If you want to text, it's 85058 or it's hashtag BBC606 on Twitter and the socials. Robbie is with us. But before we hear from him, let's get some more reaction to one of the big results of the day. Aston Villa, the perfect start to life after Steven Gerrard. They beat Brentford 4-0 at Villa Park to record only their 3rd win of the season. Gerrard, of course, was sacked late on Thursday night following that defeat at Fulham. First team coach Aaron Danks has been taking charge and he's been speaking to Pat Murphy.
What did you say to them before the game?
I can't remember. Lots of different things. No, we just asked them to play with a little bit of belief. We asked them to play with passion and purpose in everything they did, and we asked them to bring energy. And we knew that it wasn't just going to be about 10 players or 11 players today. It was going to be about the bench. It was going to be about the subs. Like if we wanted to sustain it, and I thought they were all magnificent. I thought the players coming into the game were really good for us just to keep that momentum.
You've been a local lad. You know all about the ache that Villa supporters have for success, 1996 and all that. What do you think you could do about that, getting that belief back?
Yeah, listen, we're a growth club. We're on a journey. I'm excited to be a part of that. We've got great tradition and history at this club. We've also got some really exciting young talents. We're on a journey. We just want to keep moving forward. We want to keep growing and keep getting better.
Is it too simplistic for us to say that Villa played with a handbrake off today compared with other games this season?
Listen, I've been around the group for the whole season and for last year. We could never question their work rate or their effort or their ethics. They've been really good. Listen, today things went our way. We started the game fantastically, a really well worked set piece goal. Just that and the atmosphere in the ground just give the players the belief just to keep going and keep pushing through with it.
That's Aaron Dangs talking to Pat Murphy. Robbie, what did you make of that then?
Jules, firstly, can I say, Jules, what a fantastic addition you are to the 5 Live presenting team. You mean, honestly, Jules, this is the first time I've heard you present. Fantastic. Listen, I can learn a few things off you, Jules. Honestly,
it's just
Jules,
for fun.
Fantastic.
It really is just for fun.
Jules,
just sort of pop in and pop out.
You're brilliant for it, Jules. Honestly, fantastic. I'm just saying that, Jules, you are brilliant.
Oh, you're too kind. You can send me the WhatsApps later, although you have sent them me now. I'm just not reading them.
No, I just want to say that, Jules. So anyway, on Villa, 4-0, listen. Steven Gerrard loses his job, doesn't he, when he's on the motorway, and then they turn in a performance like that, and you've got to say, where was that performance under Steven Gerrard?
Yes,
played with the freedom.
Was it?
Yeah, but listen, we talked, was it bounce back ability, whatever the term is, that these players have obviously gone out there and they've put a performance in 4-0, but Steven Gerrard, listen, why couldn't Steven Gerrard get that performance out of those players? Because if he could have, he'd still be in a job. So a remarkable performance from those Villa players. 14th now. Jules, a great performance. Performance.
Well, if they call 08085 909 693, they can actually tell you why and maybe what they want in the future. Thomas Frank has been linked with it. He was asked about it after that defeat, which probably wasn't the perfect timing, but he said, the only thing I feel is pain, all the rumours, I'm not spending any more time on. A manager who could be under the cosh, facing an uncertain future for sure, is Jesse Marsh. Leeds losing to Fulham. Fulham coming from behind to win 3-2 at Ellen Road. That leaves Leeds in the Premier League's bottom 3. Stephen Wyeth has been talking to Liam Cooper.
Well, Liam, what's your immediate reaction to another defeat and one which turned the mood pretty sour inside this stadium?
No, angry, disappointed. We've let ourselves down, and when we're on top in games, we've got to take those chances, and If you don't, the pressure comes and they score off basically 3 set pieces, and it's not good enough.
Yeah, defensively, I guess all 3 goals were avoidable, weren't they?
Oh yeah, they are avoidable. We've got to be much better in those areas of the game. Can't give teams chances like that. It's disappointing. We've got to rectify that quickly.
A lot of fans left before the end. Those that remained were clearly angry. What sort of message do you have for them from the dressing room?
Of course we understand their anger. It's not been good enough. This club needs to be winning games, and we're not at the moment. Giving ourselves too much to do, and we need to get back on the training pitch, work hard, roll our sleeves up, and that's what we've got to do. We know what's expected of us, and we've got to go and do that.
The pressure obviously mounting on the manager. Do you expect a change to be made? Do you expect to be consulted about something like that as captain?
No, we're fully behind the manager. We believe in the manager. We start the game very well, get the first goal, and then concede a stupid goal, and that's down to us, the players on the pitch. And backs against the wall now. We've got to come out fish flying and go get a result from somewhere.
And Robbie, a quick one on this, because listening to Liam Cooper there saying that they're with the manager, Leeds without a win in 8 games. Jesse Marsh saying he's spoken to the board tonight. They are backing him. He says that we are together in all of that. What do you make of that? Because I imagine not only Aston Villa fans will be calling you on 606, but you'll be getting a few Leeds United fans as well.
It's so difficult, Jules, isn't it? Last season, listen, you're an avid listener to 606. Arteta out after 4 games, was it? I know with more games this season. Already this season, Rodgers out. The amount of fans called, we've had Jesse Marsh out, but the Leeds fan who phoned up when they beat Chelsea, called myself and Chris lazy pundits. Listen, he might be right, but, because we predicted Leeds would go down. Where's that Leeds fan tonight? I want him to give us a call. He was a lawyer, Jules. 08085 909 693. Leeds are in the bottom 3. Managed under massive pressure. So I think it's going to be a lively 606. And Newcastle, Jules, just going back to Newcastle, it's not a foul. Clinton's right, John's right. I'm watching the TV. Les Ferdinand said it. The referee got it right. Jamie Redknapp, however, said it was a foul. It's never a foul. It was a correct decision. Well done, the referee. I don't know why VAR has to get involved in that. Perhaps it was looking at handball. Correct decision. Listen, finally, Clinton's got one right.
So Hugo Lloris made a mess of it then.
Clinton. No, Jules, I was just about to say, Sab's got something right. And if Sab's saying, and Sab has praised you about being a good presenter, teach him a few things. Saying George, please.
Well, you can text 85058 hashtag BBC 606 on Twitter if you're a Leicester fan as well. Maybe you want to call after that huge win at Molineux. 4-0. I was going to say there's a storm brewing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think there just is a storm, full stop, for the second half of Tottenham against Newcastle. Newcastle leading 2-0. To talk you through the next 45 with the music in the background is John Murray and Clinton Morrison.
Well, thank you, Juliet. Yeah, and since you last heard from us, some of the scenes that we've witnessed inside this stadium because of the weather have been extraordinary. If you were listening at the end of the first half, the grey clouds were just beginning to roll across. There was a flash of forked lightning, and then those grey clouds rolled over. And the cockerel up there, which is floodlit, the skies above it, the last time I saw skies like that, Basil Rathbone was looking for the Hound of the Baskervilles.
John, what are the Newcastle fans doing though?
John, I just saw bare-chested men.
Well, then, the lightning's flashing now. Then the rain started, and the rain coming down inside the stadium. There were spectators down in the front rows who had tiny little umbrellas and flimsy cagoules, absolutely saturated. And the Newcastle United fans in their section peeled off their shirts and were bare-chested. So that is the scene that we have inside the Tottenham Stadium now. The second half begins. Newcastle United leading by 2-0. And actually many of the people in the lower sections have not come back to their seats. I think they're staying on the concourses. Well, either that, or if they're Tottenham fans, I'm not sure if they might have gone home.
We'll give it 5 minutes because some of the Newcastle fans are not in there because that was packed out. But they have to be here. Surely they can't have gone home, John.
Well, it's torrential, absolutely torrential. The rain sweeping down on the Tottenham Stadium, and Spurs in this second half have got an enormous job on their hands if they're going to get anything out of this match. They're facing Newcastle, tightest defence in the Premier League so far this season, and they're 2-0 down. And and it is a goal kick to Newcastle. So Spurs, no changes at half-time. Lloris, the goalkeeper, the captain, Sanchez, Dyer and Longley, the three central defenders. If you weren't listening earlier, injuries to Højbjerg and to Romero, so they're not involved at all today. Emerson Royal on the right, Sessegnon on the left, Bentancur and Skip with Bissouma in the middle, and then Kane and Son up front. And Newcastle winning a free kick. Bruno Guimaraes has been fouled halfway inside his own half. And the Newcastle side, Nick Pope in goal, Trippier, Schär, Botman and Byrne, the back four. Guimaraes with Longstaff and Willock either side, and then Almiron on the right, Joe Linton on the left, and Callum Wilson through the middle. The goals scored by Wilson and Almiron, and Newcastle coming forward now looking for a third. Joe Linton to the edge of the area, he's left Skip on the ground, he plays it to Willock to his left as Newcastle attack towards the end where their supporters are, and again the rain almost becomes heavier than ever. Almiron on the right hand side, Trippier's cross comes back to Almiron, his shot hits Longley, comes back to Almiron, and it hits Longley again with his hands behind his back and spins and bounces away wide of goal for a Newcastle corner.
Yeah, you thought Tottenham would have come out on this, in the second half and had the momentum, but it hasn't. It's been Newcastle where they left off in the first half. They've been excellent.
Newcastle fans there now, I mean, there are dozens and dozens of them now with their shirts off. They'll all, of course, have seen on social media that this has attracted attention, although I know it's something that Newcastle fans have done over the decades. Corner for Newcastle to the back post, headed across the box by Botman, it comes out, Almiron slices it horribly, but actually he's found a teammate on the left-hand side, cross into the box, and it comes back to Fabian Schär, and now Botman nearer the halfway line, down below us. Joe Linton, crossfield pass from him, out to the right-hand side. Sessegnon stretches for it, heads it away. Trippier, Newcastle have started strongly here, leading 2-0. They're going for a third goal that would surely finish this off. Longstaff near the halfway line, back to Bruno Guimaraes. Newcastle, they're actually toying with Tottenham. Now it's square to Guimaraes. Another mighty flash of lightning above the stadium. Square to Longstaff. Now to Joe Linton on the left-hand side, the other Brazilian with the bleach blonde hair. Guimaraes, square to Willock. He had a little look there, but he plays it square. Trippier is there. Trippier with the cross. That's only half blocked away. The ball hanging on the edge of the area, but Bissouma is able to nod it further away. But Newcastle dominating it, absolutely dominating it.
They can't get the ball, can they, John? Tottenham can't get the ball, even when they're making clearances. Newcastle are picking up the second balls.
It feels, the way that this second half has started, the only thing really that can save Tottenham would be a waterlogged pitch.
Just about, yep, spot on.
Here's Joe Linton on the left-hand side. His cross comes off Emerson Royal and skitters behind into the advertising hoardings, and it's a corner to Newcastle. 4 minutes played in the second half, no change. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 2, a scoreline that would take Newcastle into the Champions League places. They go fourth in the table, above Manchester United and Chelsea. They'll be above Chelsea on goal difference. That would feel like quite a moment for the new Newcastle.
Big moment.
Corner from the left. Trippier backs up, but then takes it short, gets it back. Oh, that's a great ball in, and it is headed away for Tottenham on the edge of the 6-yard box by Longley, who came across.
Offside.
So it's a free kick. Offside given.
To be fair, you know what I've seen with Conte? Other managers do it, he doesn't. When your team's not playing well, make changes, John. There's not, and I know you can say Lucas Moura ain't 100, but you can bring on someone like Perisic, who gives you more going forward. Lucas Moura, bring these players on when it's not going well.
Well, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton are going to want to hear from Tottenham fans after this, unless, of course, we have a transformation. And Spurs coming forward, and the cross from the left-hand side from Sessegnon, far too close to Nick Pope, who just falls forward out of his 6-yard box and catches the ball into his chest. So Tottenham 0, Newcastle 2 is the score. You're listening to us on 5 Live and on the World Service and on BBC Sounds as well. Great noise inside the stadium, but I think the Newcastle fans are creating a good deal of that. They are truly buoyant and in celebratory mood. And I think most of the spectators have now returned to the lower sections of the stadium.
It's a big cue to get the old, coffees or teas at half-time.
Throw in for Newcastle. That Dan Burn takes back to the halfway line to Sven Botman, 6'4", 22 years old. He's not in the Dutch squad. Louis van Gaal hasn't selected him yet this season. He was in the under-21s. And here come Newcastle again down the right-hand side. Good work from Longstaff. Deep cross. Joe Linton at the back post. Heads it, but it's blocked behind.
That could be a penalty.
It struck the arm of Emerson.
Yep.
They're saying that it was Emerson Royale's hand or arm that it struck when it was headed back across. All of the Newcastle players have gone to referee Gillett. We're seeing a replay of it. Oh,
it's going to be given because his arms outstretched. It's going to be given. You've seen them given. Listen, I feel for him because he's trying to do defending, and you can't sometimes help it stretch your arm out. But his arm's out. Well, it's going to be given.
The recent issue has been, hasn't it, with a couple of these?
Hasn't given.
Well, the issue has been, Clinton, about the proximity.
Yeah, all right then. So I seen one at Newcastle a few weeks ago where Dan Burn is not looking and his arm's out like that. But then obviously he's about, as you said, he was about 5 yards away from it, John. So
but then last weekend, the feeling was, the message was put out that the proximity was important.
Fair enough then. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know where that leaves us.
I don't know. I'm confused, just like you.
Anyway, it's judged that Joe Linton clearly there was nothing Emerson Royal could do about it. However, it is a Newcastle corner, played into the back post. Almiron with a shot, saved inside the 6-yard box by Lloris. That was a good stop because that came through a crowd of players. Spurs scrambled it away, but now Wilson again in the box, shoots, and the block this time is from Sessegnon inside the penalty area. Tottenham are clinging on here. Newcastle are really threatening a third. But Spurs break away through Son racing down the left-hand side, now cutting into the penalty area, and his cross is blocked behind for a Tottenham corner. Spurs need a goal.
Yeah, this second half is going to be lively now. It is, and Newcastle are the ones that are pushing it. It was a good save from Hugo Lloris, from Fabian Schär's shot, and they were lucky that there was no takers to put the rebound in, but good run there from Son.
Could be a crazy game in these wet conditions. Floodlight flashing above us here, end-to-end stuff. Newcastle chasing a third goal. Tottenham trying to get a toehold, and with all of that lightning, it's like some sort of hammer horror that is going on. That's how it'll feel for Tottenham anyway. Horrific. In comes the corner, flick to the back post, it's headed in! Spurs have got the goal! Harry Kane is there! A yard out to nod it in, there was a defender with him, and Spurs have got to go back. Newcastle's lead is cut to 2-1, and Harry Kane has scored his 11th of the season for Spurs.
He does what he does. He's flicked on. He's just played onside by Callum Wilson. He just gets the better of Kieran Trippier. He's too strong, and that's what Harry Kane does. Comes alive in and around the 6-yard box. Game on, John.
It's Kieran Trippier who was with him at the back post, his England colleague, but Kane turned him. Got goal side of Trippier, who was leaning into Harry Kane. In any case, he was almost on his back when Kane, I mean, that was inches out that he headed it in. They are looking at a possible offside, VAR.
I thought Callum Wilson's back leg maybe might be playing him on, but we'll have a look at. Well, we can't see a replay yet. We ain't seen one.
This has not been given the green light yet. They're looking at offside. Just looking to see if we've got the lines anywhere here. And now we're seeing the pictures, we're seeing the VAR pictures that Stuart Atwell will be looking at Stockley Park.
You've got to see who it comes off first, though.
Yeah, which is what they're doing now.
I think they're checking to see. I'm not sure. It comes off is that a Newcastle player? And then it might have touched Davinson Sanchez on the shoulder. That's what they're looking at. To see, they're looking to see if it touches Davinson Sanchez there in the middle of the goal. Because if it touches him, he's offside.
I'm not sure you can see.
But how can you see from there?
I'm not sure you can tell definitively if
that's why they keep
Sanchez.
looking.
This is the crucial touch. It's like the second contact, if there is one.
It's the second contact they're looking at, because the first contact is onside. It's if Davinson Sanchez touches it there. But it looks like, for me, he completely misses it.
The pictures are not definitive.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
You can't see the ball changing direction.
No, you can't. Because if he does get a touch, it would change, unless it was a flick of the egg. Goal given.
Goal given. Yeah, I think they had to there because there wasn't sufficient evidence.
You're right, yeah. Spot on, John.
So the goal stands. Harry Kane's goal timed in the 54th minute, although we're now in the 56th. And it's Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. And Harry Kane, how often have we said this over the years? He's got Tottenham out of a right hole in this match.
Listen, Harry Kane's been outstanding this season. You know why people not talk a lot about Harry Kane this season, John? Because the guy up in Manchester has been so brilliant. Haaland, that's why we don't. But his goals this season have been outstanding. He always gets Tottenham out of jail.
Well, that is Harry Kane's 10th Premier League goal of the season, and it's his 11th for Spurs in all competitions. So Harry Kane hits double figures in the Premier League. He's now just 7 behind Erling Haaland, just the 7. Long ball forward from the right-hand side. Mind you, he might not be finished in this match yet. Cross from the right-hand side for Spurs from Emerson, and Kane was in there, but Pope stepped forward and was able to catch the ball ahead of the England captain. So Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. And as the Americans would say, Clinton, I think we've got a change of dynamic.
Yes, we have. Big change of dynamic. This is going to be a great game now, John.
Great noise, I know that for sure. It's a great place to watch sport, this. Sometimes the Americans are here. Newcastle coming forward to the edge of the box. Wilson gets his head to it, but can only glance it out here to the left-hand side. Willock, that looked like a foul on Skip. That's not given. Willock's going to go for goal. Takes a little flick off Wilson, but couldn't get enough on it to deflect it in. Remarkably, really.
Yeah, if he gets more on it, John, it's a goal. Hugo Lloris is beaten. He runs across Lenglet, and he is onside as well. It would have been a goal. He doesn't get enough. It just glances the outside of his left foot. And if he gets more with his right foot, he scores. He's unlucky, to be fair.
Any touch and that was in. Now Tottenham are saying that Son was bundled over when the ball was played over the top to him. Referee Gillett has got his hands full here with this. And he says nothing doing. Nick Pope picks up the ball under pressure from Harry Kane and then overarms it out to Botman. And now Newcastle start again from the back. So 2-1 it is. The Harry Kane goal came from a corner from the left-hand side. It was Botman, the Newcastle man, who got his head to it. And the crucial question was whether it got a flick off the Tottenham man, Sanchez, in the middle, before it was headed in from point-blank range by a falling Harry Kane. But VAR couldn't see a touch from Sanchez, so the goal stood. So Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2 is the score. Tottenham, who during the course of this 10-match winning streak here inside this stadium in all competitions, they have got themselves out of 1 or 2 sticky situations, but 2-0 down against Newcastle. But it does feel entirely different now. Here's Bentancur on the halfway line, passing it forward to Sessegnon. Sessegnon now along the edge of the penalty area, but straight into Cher, who clears, and Cher's found Almiron, and Almiron running free. Sessegnon's trying to get back at him, he's fouling him, and he's pulling him back. And as a result of that, it's a yellow card for Ryan Sessegnon. And
I can guarantee in 5 minutes, Perisic will be on for Sessegnon. Because now you've got to be careful, but you've just been booked. Almiron's causing a lot of problems, and I feel like his crosses in the final third hasn't been good. And right on cue, I can see Perisic running back to the dugout. I'm not a manager though, John.
Maybe one day. Have you got that pro license yet?
Nah, I've got the A. I need to do the pro.
Yeah, right, okay. That's on the agenda, is it?
Maybe one day, if I have time. Don't have no time at the moment.
That's what's known in the business as keeping your options open.
Yeah.
It's a free kick then for Newcastle. This has got entertainment written all over it this next half hour, so don't go anywhere as Newcastle play the ball in. It was a short free kick which was whipped in but went all the way through to Lloris. So Tottenham start again. Son, who had a brilliant start to the game, but he's tackled by Bruno Guimaraes, and that's adjudged to have been a foul. And Bruno Guimaraes doesn't like it. He throws the ball away, which other referees, I think, would have produced a yellow card for that as a sign of dissent from Bruno Guimaraes. We're just seeing it again, Clinton. Correct decision for a foul?
Not sure. I think
went to ground.
He went to ground. He didn't really get much of the ball, but I don't think he got Son. Son was waiting for it. Substitution's been made.
Yeah, Perisic is on. Is it Sessegnon?
Yeah,
yes,
Sessegnon.
Yeah, off the far side. So Perisic is on in that position. The veteran Croatian who has won things all over Europe, and he's on the left-hand side. So Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. As Emerson Royal was challenged by Dan Burn. He went down. Tottenham fans wanted a free kick, not given. Emerson Royal's cross comes off Botman, bounces behind into that great south stand to our right. Corner to Spurs. Son takes it short. Spurs are trying to up the tempo here, keep the game going, put pressure on Newcastle. Emerson Royal challenged by Willock. Emerson tried to thread it through for Son, but that was cut out by Almiron, who put it out for a throw. Another throw in for Tottenham. So that change from Antonio Conte, the first of the match. Perisic on. More substitutes to come, I'm sure, before too long, as Sessegnon is still walking round behind the goal. He's getting quite the ovation there as he makes his way around. You'd have loved that, Clinton, wouldn't you, in your day?
I didn't like coming. Yeah, of course I would have. But
milking the crowd.
Of course, definitely, John. Yeah. That's the only thing I didn't like when we were playing. We had to go off on the side. I'd have loved it.
You would. Sometimes you wouldn't.
No, sometimes I wouldn't. If away fans.
It's a corner for Spurs then. Son to take this. They're trying to suck it in, that huge stand behind the goal down to our right. Son raises his arm. He looks a little bedraggled down there. Son's deep, high, corner to the back post, is headed down by Kane, comes back to Kane, and he volleys it high over the top, but if he'd put it in, it wouldn't have counted because the offside flag was up anyway, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
Yeah, I think from Son's corner, it curled it just out, I think, John, that was it. Yeah, it curled it. I saw his flag went up straight away.
And now Newcastle are on the slowdown, so Nick Pope is being told to get on with it by referee Gillett, and now Nick Pope, in the manner of all goalkeepers in this position, is saying to him, so where is it I need to take this from? Is it there? No? And then succeeds in wasting time, and Pope plays it downfield. It's headed forward by Bentancur. A little bit of indecision for a moment from Botman, but he volleyed it away. But Byrne couldn't get it further away. And Emerson now back to Skip, and Skip's cross, that was blocked initially. There was a touch from the defender, who was Willock, actually, back inside his own penalty area. It's put out of play by Guimaraes. Spurs take a quick throw, and then poor touch from Basuma. Ball bounces out, and it's a throw in to Newcastle. 2-1 Newcastle lead. This is 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. For 5 Live listeners, the lines are open for 606. If you're on your way back from a match, Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage would love to hear from Tottenham fans, but also Villa and Brentford fans. Villa 4-0 winners, finished Leeds 2, Fulham 3. They'd love to hear from you as well. Southampton 1, Arsenal 1, Wolves 0, Leicester 4, the final score at Molineux. And earlier in the Championship, 2 big wins, Swansea City 2, Cardiff City 0, Watford 4, Luton 0 in the Championship. So 08085 909 693, the number to call for the 606 phone-in, which will follow before live coverage of the Grand Prix from Texas tonight. So Tottenham with a free kick halfway inside their own half, which is played across out to the left-hand side. And here comes Perisic down the left flank. Perisic, 2 Newcastle players with him. He goes past Kieran Trippier, memories of the World Cup semi-final. Those two, beats him, gets the cross in, but bounces back to Trippier, who's challenged, and in the end it bounces out of play for what is given as a Newcastle throw-in. Lucas Moura, Clinton, the next Tottenham player to come on. I thought we'd see him at some stage.
Yeah, I think it's the right time. Definitely, you're in the ascendancy now. Bring on another attacking player.
Yeah, he's had an injury, but now feeling his way back. And then Skip puts in a challenge which fouls Willock, but referee waves play on, gives Newcastle the advantage. Still Willock is down, but Almiron's got it just outside the box. Back to Bruno Guimaraes. Basuma forces him to give it to the right-hand side. Almiron is there. And then the ball is played back through by Trippier. Longstaff in the box. Almiron just beaten to it by Langley inside the penalty area. Still Newcastle with it on the right-hand side in the blue and gold. Ball played forward. Thought there might have been an offside flag against Longstaff. No, it's not given. Spurs still haven't got it away, and in fact it comes to Bruno Guimaraes, who plays it across the penalty area, a stretch away from Dyer, and then an important piece of play there. That was superb from Bentancur to beat two men and take it downfield, but then Joe Linton was back there with the covering challenge for Newcastle to win it back for the visitors.
Football at its best. Brilliant feat from Bentancur, does ever so well, but Joe Linton, outstanding. He has, one play, he's improved massively since Eddie Howe's coming. His work rate is phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's and there's a yellow card in there for... Was that Skip for the foul? It was.
Skip. I think he'll come off now for Lucas Moura. More than likely, if he really wants to be positive.
More than likely, it is Skip. Called it again, Clinton. Yeah, absolutely. So off comes Oliver Skip. It was his first start of the season, and Lucas Moura, who comes on as a substitute for a fourth consecutive match, but he was out from August until this month. So Lucas Moura not scored in his last 24 appearances for Tottenham, as he takes his position up here on the right-hand side going forward for the time being, although he's just dropping in centrally. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2 is the score here in the rain, in the storm of North London. And Lucas Moura is given a welcome to the game by Bruno Guimaraes, who comes across and gives him a right bump with his hip and sends him flying. Two Brazilians together, no love lost there. As Tottenham try to work it away from the back. Son, I think he might have been fouled by Cher. That's not given. And Cher, lovely change of feet, low shot, and Lloris is able to go down to his right and make the save.
And Cher's wonderful, a brilliant little step over.
Oh, and then Lloris's clearance has been blocked by Wilson, who's going to be yellow carded. This will go down well. Callum Wilson, who was involved in that controversial opening goal when he was adjudged not to have fouled Hugo Lloris. So you'll see it all on Match of the Day tonight with Mark Chapman. That's after the news on BBC One this evening, so you'll be able to talk about everything on 606 08 085 909 693. Read about it as ever on the BBC Sport website, on the football pages. Watch the highlights, Match of the Day 2 tonight, and then download the 5 Live Football Daily podcast in the morning. You can subscribe for free from, altogether, BBC Sounds. Moura is fouled inside his own half. By the way, just to give you prior warning, and Wilson's thrown himself to the ground. I think he's... and there's a slip centre field by Basuma, who just delayed, missed the ball and fell over, and Newcastle are coming forward with Almiron, who plays it back to Trippier. Trippier, as the rain continues to fall heavily on this part of North London. Tottenham played away downfield, but Botman's heading it back to goalkeeper Pope.
It kind of feels like they've weathered the storm at the moment, Newcastle. Like, literally weathered the storm.
I don't think that storm's over yet.
It's going to come again.
Yes, Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Spurs with Moura centrally, and then Basuma through to Kane. Kane crouching forward as he does, head down. There's only one thing on his mind, and then he gives the ball. Perisic with a shot from the left-hand side, but it was straight at Pope, who was able to put feet wide apart, lean forward, and then scoop the ball up into his chest.
Yeah, it's good play from Harry Kane. He delayed that pass, and you're thinking Perisic on his right foot, can he bend that past Nick Pope into the far corner? But it's a comfortable save from Nick Pope.
So 2-1, the Newcastle lead. Newcastle, who've lost just once this season, and if you remember, that was actually a goal from Fabio Carvalho at Anfield in the 8th minute of added time. That's their only defeat in all competitions. With this scoreline, Newcastle would be in the Champions League places. But this is not over yet. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Here's Wilson through the middle. Wilson back to Willock, and then Willock lifts it over the top towards the left-hand side. Joe Linton gets the ball under control into the penalty area. One way and the other he goes. Looks for Willock. Willock, his cross is blocked by the recovering Emerson Royal, who deflects it behind for a corner.
Yeah, it was really good defending. And very, very, very good defending there. Good play from Joe Linton there. And Willock was just going to square it, and I think Callum Wilson had a tap in, but good defending.
Corner for Newcastle from the left. Kieran Trippier trots across there. 20 minutes to play. Still the rain tumbles down through that curving roof of the Tottenham Stadium. Trippier to take this. Tottenham have got everyone back in there, almost everyone in the 6-yard box. Here's the corner into the back post, which is headed back across. Lloris comes for it, gets a hand to it. It bounces down. Cher blasts it across the penalty area. What on earth? He's blasted it.
You summed that up
brilliantly,
John. What on earth? He just needed to clip it back in. I don't know what he was doing.
Looking to drive it in low, wasn't
he? But it was way too high.
He almost put it into the hospitality boxes. So play back underway. Ball bounces out of play on the halfway line. It's a throw-in to Newcastle. Yes, I was going to say, just to give you prior warning, with the World Cup 4 weeks ago to go today, it'll begin. During the World Cup, the 5 Live Football Daily will turn into the 5 Live World Cup Daily, and all 64 matches will be on 5 Live, Sports Extra, Sounds, or the World Service. So all 64 matches, you'll hear commentary on them live from the World Cup. Here is Dyer in the Premier League, sliding in, and there's been I think a clash of shins between him and Joe Linton, so I think they'll both be okay. It's just Dyer slid in and there was that contact, and ball's out of play for a throw.
He did come in with a bit of an injury, wasn't he? An injury doubt, but he seems like he's all right. He's being clever, Joe Linton. They're buying a bit of time for his team.
Yeah, it was a knee problem, wasn't it, that he picked up, that he came off with against Everton during the week. Alan St Maximin apparently is not too far away from coming back, but not involved for Newcastle today. Their next match is against Aston Villa at St James's Park next Saturday. Play back underway. Both Dyer and Joe Linton are okay. Lloris clearing from the ground. The score is Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Newcastle were 2-0 up at half-time and then started the second half brilliantly. Weren't able to get the third goal, and Harry Kane nodded one back. And now Joe Linton does well, plays it forward, but too much on it, and it rolls through for a goal kick. So goal kick to Tottenham, and Lloris takes it short to Eric Dyer. I think the expectation is that he will be in the squad in Qatar, having started England's 2 matches last month. Long and forward down the middle, that's headed away by Botman, and then Longstaff dispossessed. Kane and Moura. Lucas Moura with his white shirt outside his blue shorts, back to Bentancur, and now Perisic on the left hand side. Perisic against Trippier, steps forward, puts in the challenge, and it's a good one from Kieran Trippier, and Newcastle have got it back. However, Perisic is in there again, but deflects it out of play.
So good, isn't he, John? Kieran Trippier, he's been outstanding, to be fair, all season. One of the best players for me in the Premier League, especially defenders anyway, and his delivery going forward, brilliant as well.
Well, I think if it was that England game against Iran tomorrow, as opposed to 4 weeks tomorrow,
he would be playing,
he would be playing, yeah. Because of the obviously Reece James seems to be out of the picture with his green hair. And did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, matching jacket.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
I did see that.
And so he's injured. Still hasn't given it up, but big loss for England. And then Kyle Walker is obviously hoping to be fit. Ben White was involved again today for Arsenal in the goal that they scored. Lucas Moura playing it through the middle, but Son is challenged by Joe Linton. Just feel that the match is setting itself at the moment for
a big
finale.
Yes.
Bruno Guimaraes back to Almiron, and then in comes Perisic. It's hooked forward for Spurs, but by Basuma, but Pope is going to allow it to run through for a goal kick, and he's going to take his time here again. Sometimes I get this, you know. I totally understand, and I see why they're doing it, slowing the game down. But sometimes that also just gives the wrong impression, doesn't it?
It does.
That we're clinging on here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it for Joe Willock, who came on as a substitute in the last couple of matches. He'd not been very well, I believe, as well. But he is off, and taking his place is Jacob Murphy, who made way today from the starting lineup. So Murphy is onto the field, and that means Joe Linton drops back into what's now become his more familiar position in the left of that midfield 3 for Newcastle. So Jacob Murphy is on. Goal kick, Newcastle taking as long as they can to take it, which they do. Finally, now 15 minutes to play. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Ball out of play, throw in for Tottenham. In fact, it's given us a free kick, which Emerson Royal takes, just a little foul. Back to Dyer. Rain comes again. Sanchez across the back line. Dyer to the far side, to Longley. Now Perisic still deep inside their own half, and that's been charged down. Out of play by Longstaff.
It's just the momentum, kind of the substitutions have took the momentum out of the game for Tottenham, haven't they, John? I'm saying they're the right substitutions, but it just seems it's gone a bit flat for them again.
That's Clinton Morrison, Premier League goal scorer, with us here on 5 Live and the World Service. Here's Moura into the challenge. Tottenham win it back. Bissouma over the halfway line, rolls the ball to his left. Perisic to Son down the line. Son twists and turns. He's got 2 Newcastle players with him. Cher goes to ground and puts it out of play for a Tottenham throw, which Son takes back towards the halfway line. Chested down by Longley. Longley back to Dyer in the centre circle. I think that next storm might not be too far away. Dyer curls a long ball. Emerson heads it back to Moura. Moura inside the penalty area. Joe Linton went with him and did well, actually. There was enough in on that, and Joe Linton goes down, wanted the free kick. Lucas Moura with the challenge. Emerson got the ball caught up underneath his feet, and Bruno Guimaraes is going to run it away. Lucas Moura does brilliantly well to avoid him, and then Emerson into Kane inside the box, back to goal, gives it to Son. Son shoots, it's blocked, shouts for handball. Referee Gillett immediately says no handball, no penalty. Newcastle have got it with goalkeeper Pope.
Nah, it's like Newcastle didn't want to clear their lines. Guimaraes, Joe Linton, they all could have cleared it, but nah, I don't think that there's much in that. No way.
And Bruno Guimaraes it's Joe Linton who's down inside the box. That was a brilliant little moment in there, wasn't it? Where Guimaraes on the ground tried to swing his legs and take Lucas Moura out, who danced over the top of it. Brilliant. Well, it's been fun, this, hasn't it? There's been a lot going on.
Yeah.
Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. And just the way that it's gone, you know, on a stormy afternoon as well like this, I think storms affect people, don't they? So they say.
Yeah, it does affect people. It does affect a lot. Yeah, it does.
They do say that. So
it affects me.
Dread to think. And we've got, I think it just has that feel that we might have a little bit more madness to go.
Yeah, there is. There's definitely another goal in this, John, that's for sure.
So don't tune away. So I hope it doesn't peter out to a 2-1 Newcastle win now, otherwise we'll be getting letters from all around the World Service. Right, Joe Linton is just having to come off the field, and he's another trooper, isn't he? He's had this injury, he's gone down twice now in the second half, he's received bumps and bangs. Tottenham take the throw, and Harry Kane helps it back to Nick Pope in the goal to our right. So we've got just over 10 minutes to go. Lines open for 606. There's so much to discuss today. 08085 909 693. They'll have a great debate, Robbie and Chris, over the disallowed goal with some of the listeners. I'm sure there will be Tottenham fans who will ring in and will be absolutely certain that goal should have been ruled out, that opening goal for Newcastle. But likewise, there'll be Newcastle fans as well with the opposite view. Tottenham are going to bring on 2 more substitutes, Doherty and Davis, so 2 defenders coming on.
I don't get that. Literally, I don't like for substitutions. You need a goal. I know there's not a lot of attacking options, but Ben Davis is the centre half. Is he going to have a big impact in scoring an equaliser? I might be wrong. Do you know what I mean, John?
Yeah, well, that's what the Tottenham fans will be saying, I think. Many of them in this stadium. Newcastle have won a free kick, a foul on Bruno Guimaraes by Lucas Moura on the far side. I think he was giving him a little bit back from an earlier incident, and actually Almiron has gone down as well there. I think he might have been caught maybe by a swinging arm in the neck, in the Adam's apple, but he's okay. And so it's a free kick to Newcastle. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 2. Newcastle, with this scoreline, would move into the top 4, and they would be just 2 points behind Tottenham in third. But still time to play yet. 10 minutes of it, plus added time. Newcastle, here is the free kick. Played in towards the near post, takes a flick off a Tottenham head. Eric Dyer was after it, I think it was him. But Bruno Guimaraes is back in possession in the full-back area, the Tottenham full-back area. Takes on a defender towards the byline, and then is actually holding off Langley with an arm. And he was complaining about it, but Newcastle still in possession as it's played back. Longstaff now to the left-hand side to Bruno Guimaraes, who is fouled by Lucas Moura again, who very chivalrously goes across and offers him a hand, and it's only a throw-in, it's not a free kick. Good challenge then. Right, so we will have Davinson Sanchez and Longley off. So the two central defenders who came in are off. So Ben Davis is on and Matt Doherty. And Tottenham coming forward with Bentancur. Kane with a touch. Lucas Moura tries to send it through to Son, but on this wet surface now, this very heavy surface, the ball sort of held up and Cher was able to slide in and put it out of play. 2-1 Newcastle lead. 9 minutes plus added time to go. Emerson Royal hasn't helped Eric Dyer with that pass. Well beyond him and behind him. So Eric Dyer had to go and get it. So Spurs now with Dyer. Long ball forward. Botman's got his head to it, but that header carries the ball up into the penalty area, his own penalty area, and it's caught easily by Nick Pope.
I don't know. Conte must like Emerson Royal loads, to be fair. Must like Emerson Royal loads. Must do.
Well, he's now part of what is effectively a Tottenham back three
now, yep.
Emerson Royal on the right-hand side, Dyer in the middle, and Emerson Royal now, after Dyer won the initial header from Pope's clearance, Emerson Royal turns and plays the ball back to Lloris, to our left. The Tottenham captain, couple of touches, then long and left-footed. Lucas Moura wins a good header. It's over the top of Son though. Cher heads it forward. Bruno Guimaraes hikes the ball right-footed over his own head. Dyer heads it forward. Cher gets a header for Newcastle, and the ball bounces out towards the far side where Tottenham keep it in play. Bissouma is being put under pressure by Longstaff, but that's well played by Bissouma, finds Bentancur in the centre circle, and now Emerson Royal to Matt Doherty, who's taken over as the right wing back, and then back to Emerson Royal. Newcastle have dropped right back behind the ball. That's a poor pass forward from Bentancur, but it bounces back to Tottenham. Dyer, Bissouma again in the centre circle, inside the Newcastle half, to the right hand side to Emerson, who's then closed down by Murphy, and so Dyer has to hit a long pass. That's blocked forward by Longstaff. Eventually the ball bounces to Kane. That's a lovely pass from Kane to Bentancur, who glides forward and plays the ball forward to Doherty, but I don't think Doherty can reach that. No, the ball runs away over the white line and behind and through for a goal kick. It's like a fielder chasing a ball to the boundary that he was never going to get.
Never, so you just give up on it. You have to. Yeah, but it's good play from Bentancur. He's frustrated with himself because he's picking up little pockets, and Nick Pope's going to get booked now.
Yellow card. Yeah. I think there was nothing more certain than a yellow card for Nick Pope than torrential rain would follow those black clouds that rolled over the stadium at half-time. So Pope is booked and he's still wasting time, which the Tottenham fans are helpfully pointing out, and Antonio Conte as well, who's put a black baseball cap on with all of this rain. He's also making the point. Back it goes. You'll hear Antonio Conte and Eddie Howe during 6:06, and it'll be a happy Eddie Howe at the moment with this scoreline, and he's applauding down there because, again, great work from Newcastle's forward players, putting pressure. It was Murphy this time who forced the error from Emerson, who passed the ball out of play. So it's a throw-in for Newcastle. Dan Burn to take this throw on the left-hand side. Burn to Joe Linton. Joe Linton, long and leggy.
So good.
Yes, isn't he?
So good.
Keeping the ball, even though he's got Tottenham players all over the back of him. And then Murphy, I could hear him shouting from here. There was no free kick, no foul. Referee Gillett wasn't buying that. And then Doherty plays it across his own penalty area. So Ben Davis, freshly into the action, passes it forward towards the left-hand side. 6 minutes to play, less than that actually. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Spurs facing their second defeat of their week. The first time they'll have dropped points this season. Doherty on the right-hand side. Doherty forward to Lucas Moura, who's got some space now and chips it across to the back post. But Trippier was able to come forward and head it away with Perisic arriving behind him. Bentancur now back into the centre circle. Dyer carries it on and then uses on his left-hand side Davis, and then it comes from the Welshman to the Englishman. Crossfield pass by Dyer, that's good, into the path of Moore. A lovely touch from him as well, but Murphy went with Moore and blocked it out for a corner. And Spurs looking to take this quickly. Nick Pope tries to alert his defenders to it. They should be aware anyway. Moore takes it to Son, and then Son plays it into Murphy and wins another corner. Numbers 4 and 5 for Spurs in the second half alone.
They're pushing. Here comes the storm now.
They are. Less than 5 minutes to play. Son with the corner, curling out, swinger, headed away by Cher on the edge of the 6-yard box for Newcastle. All the players still up there. Perisic plays it in right footer. That's got a long way. Dyer with a header just wide. But actually, the flag was up.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. He probably knows he should be hitting the target there, Eric Dyer, but yeah, the flag was up. But they are pushing at the moment, and Newcastle look like there's a lot of tired legs out there. Eddie Howe will probably want to look to his bench to make a few changes.
Just feel that the temperature's dropped again, which could mean that there will be another meteorological storm.
I'm glad you said that. I had the coat off the whole time, and I was thinking, should I pull it on? But there's only 4 or 5 minutes to go.
So we might have a storm both on and off the field. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. 6:06 to follow. 08 085 909 693 to book your calls with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton for an hour or so before we go live to Texas and the USA Grand Prix. Here's Perisic down the left-hand side for Tottenham, swings over the cross. Kane with a header, but 2 defenders with him, Botman and Cher, and between them he couldn't direct it down on target, and it was over the top by 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah, it would have been had to be a fantastic header to score from there, but no, it's a good play from Tottenham, good ball in from Perisic as well. And 2 substitutions now, John. I think Shelvey and Chris Wood are coming on.
Yep.
Callum Wilson's one for
sure. That's it for Callum Wilson, who scored the opening goal, his 4th of the season. That's 4 in 8 appearances this season, and he's taking his time. And Tottenham are furious that Callum Wilson has taken such a long time to get off the field, and actually Bissouma is trying to force him off the field, he's trying to push him off the field, and referee Gillett comes across and says, look mate, let him go. It's Emerson Royal actually who was trying to push him off the field. So he's off eventually, Callum Wilson, and then Shelvey coming on for
Bruno Guimaraes.
Right. Bit of a surprise?
Not really, because he's been going down and feeling his calves and that. I think he's just tired and maybe suffering from a bit of cramp there.
Randall became a father for the first time on Friday.
That is hard work as well, John.
Not as hard work as it was for some involved in the process. Right, Shelvey is on for Bruno Guimaraes. John Joe Shelvey, who is making his first appearance since April. It's a hamstring problem, actually had an operation, and here he is now back into the action for the first time. I saw him get sent off against Tottenham last season. Remember, it was the first match after the takeover, and Callum Wilson scored that goal in the 2nd minute, and the place went absolutely bonkers. But Tottenham actually won the game and then beat them 5-1 here last season. Spurs coming forward, 2-1 down in this match. Newcastle get it away. Son tried to allow the ball to run, and then Wood is tripped on the halfway line by Emerson, who is not on a yellow card, so he is booked now. I did wonder whether he was one of the players who were on a yellow, but no. So Emerson Royal is booked for that trip. I don't know how he could complain about that.
So all he does is talk the whole game. He needs to do his job better instead of talking and wanting to argue with every player that's coming off the pitch and getting substituted on.
So you've told him, Clinton.
I don't know if he'll listen, but that's my opinion on him.
Yeah. Some would say it takes one to know one.
Exactly.
Free kick for Newcastle. Wood is after it, the New Zealander, but Tottenham get the touch on that, and Bentancur down in his full-back position. Joe Linton arrives on the scene, of course he does, and blasts the ball forward, trying to get a touch off Bentancur, but he hit it straight into the Tottenham fans. This will be a fine result for Newcastle if they see this out.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of time added on though.
There will, yeah.
I think it could be 5-6 minutes.
There should be, as Joe Linton is 5 minutes, could be more. And there's groans, that's what the Tottenham fans are thinking. So we're into 5 minutes of added time. 5 minutes of added time. Boos for that. Newcastle are going to waste more time with the taking of this latest free kick. Actually, Shelby does take it with the outside of his boot. Newcastle are going to play it to the corner flag. But Wood is dispossessed, and that was the end of that. And Tottenham have got it back and can start from the back. Dyer playing it across to Davis. Ben Davis now back in field towards Dyer. Dyer thought about the long pass, uses Emerson. Emerson now approaching the halfway line, slips the ball forward to Lucas Moura, who just plays it back to Emerson. So Emerson again shapes himself and passes it to Doherty. And Doherty's ball to the edge of the box. Trippier's able to come across into the D and launch it back out of play down the right-hand side. Antonio Conte comes across, actually pats it back to Doherty. Dyer now. Dyer rolls his foot over the ball. We haven't quite had that storm on the field that I was expecting. And then we won't have it with that pass from Emerson either. That's beyond Son. And Nick Pope is actually going to come forward and then tease Harry Kane and allow the ball to run past both of them and through. And Harry Kane actually runs past Nick Pope down the little slope, gets the ball from in front of the hoardings and throws it back into the 6-yard box.
I'm not going to argue with him, is he, Nick Pope? When they're on international duty, Harry's the main man. He'll be
Yeah. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Nick Pope, who is on a yellow card here, so... Mind you, when do you ever see a second yellow card for time wasting? Never. Long and forward, eventually, from Pope. Bentancur heads it forward. Botman got his head on that. John Joe Shelby, with the outside of his boot again, hits it forward, but Dyer's able to head it back. Tottenham have to hope that they're going to get a chance in these final 3 minutes now of added time.
They've not created a clear-cut chance, have they, John, since they've Harry Kane scored?
No. Not enough, really. Those early chances that they had in the match, very good save from Pope, from Harry Kane with his legs, and Son had the early opportunities. Pope made a very good save from Son as well, from the angle. But back it goes to Lloris, long from Lloris now through the middle. Kane flicks it on, it's played forward by Dyer, who's gone up there. He's gone forward, Eric Dyer, now in these circumstances. Tottenham trying to salvage a point, and then there's a foul on the far side.
And I think it's going to be a
Perisic.
foul. Yeah, I think it's Trippier that's going to get the free kick.
Perisic and Trippier came together, and it's a free kick for Newcastle. And Trippier's going to stay down here. It's the right decision as well. We've just seen it again. And Trippier is just taking his time to get up, and that means that another minute has gone by. 3 minutes of added time. 2 minutes to go. Tottenham 1,
you know what you
Newcastle
say,
2.
John, you always say in these moments you always get one big opportunity, but I can't see it.
I'm not sure.
I can't see it. No, I just can't see it at the moment. Newcastle defended brilliantly.
Mind you, we've swung one way and the other on that. It was going to be a brilliant storm. That didn't happen. Now we're saying there's not going to be another chance. We're as bad as Robbie Savage.
Exactly.
For goodness sake.
Keep changing our mind.
Here's Doherty. Doherty back to Emerson. Emerson square to Dyer. Dyer now opens his legs and hits a long left-footed ball towards the edge of the box. It's over Moura. Dan Burn towering over Moura. Easily got his head to that. And Joe Linton's going to run it away, but he runs it out of play on the halfway line. Eddie Howe looks like a drowned rat. And he's got that hood down the back of his neck, which is very limp. Botman heads it forward. Comes back to Bissouma. Bissouma now forward, comes away from Kane, bounces through Nick Pope's quickly out to the edge of the area and drops on the ball. And that is 4 minutes of the 5 of added time. Tottenham are facing a first home defeat since April. The first points that they've dropped in the Premier League at home this season. It's 5 out of 5 here in the Premier League this season until today. So that would leave Manchester City and Arsenal as the only sides to have won all their Premier League matches at home this season. Long forward for Newcastle. Newcastle fans want a foul for Dyer on Wood. It's not given. Well, this is it. It's got to go forward now. 4.5 minutes of the 5 added, and they haven't created that final chance.
Ooh.
And then the pass from Perisic towards Perisic down the left-hand side from Davis. That's cut out, and Newcastle can run this away. They could actually take this away down the right if they could. Towards the corner flag.
Take a big touch, Longstaff, and then just run it into the corner.
But he didn't, and Newcastle have conceded possession. But poor ball forward from Bissouma, that's cut out. And now Jacob Murphy is fouled. Lucas Moura takes it on, but no, the foul is given. Correct decision by referee Gillett.
That's it, John. I think that's it. Newcastle putting this right in the corner.
Well, I think we know the theme of the interviews that'll follow this match. You'll be able to hear Antonio Conte and Eddie Howe on 606. They'll hopefully be coming on live. Lines open 08, 085 909 693 to talk about what has been a terrific victory for Newcastle. They've won here at the Tottenham Stadium by 2-1. Spurs lose a match here for the first time this season, and the Newcastle players go into a huddle and celebrate together. They won it in the first half with that controversial goal from Wilson. Almiron made it 2-0. Harry Kane got one back in the second half. But it's Newcastle's day, Clinton Morrison.
And fully deserved, to be fair. It was always going to be hard. Going in 2-0 down, you had to respond. Tottenham did respond, and their main man, Harry Kane, got that goal. But can't be too reliant on Harry Kane and Son all the time. Other individuals have to step up to the mark. It's not about Tottenham, it's about Newcastle. Fantastic performance. Individually, they were brilliant. Collectively, as a group, they were outstanding. Credit must go to Newcastle and the fans and Eddie Howe. Brilliant this evening.
Well, what a match. What an afternoon. And Newcastle United, Newcastle are in the top 4. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2.